What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Lightshare episode. This time we're again with Ian Vicknair. Welcome back, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. You actually
I'm
say
also
mine the
here
last
with
name better than I do.
what? Really?
Yeah, like I
It's
actually
a
don't know the pronunciation of my last name. I'll be honest. Like everyone in my family always says so differently, and everyone always pronounces it very weirdly too. So the way you say it actually sounds so much smoother.
I just said it the way it felt right to say it, so I'm glad
Cool.
it's the right way. And well, I'm also here with Dom and Andre as usual. And today we're gonna be going over a few topics that I hope you guys find interesting. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So, Ian, man, how have you been?
Good. Well, first of all, thanks for letting me come on again. I appreciate it. It's going pretty good. Moved to Vancouver a year ago, and it's been an interesting ride this last year. But I don't know, it's been interesting with all the AI talk and such. I figured that's what we could talk about a little bit because that's like the trend of the universe right now. So I'm kind of
100%.
curious to what you guys think about it, if you're
Sure.
for it or what you think it's going to affect in the industry a little bit.
No worries. Yeah, you moved to Vancouver, you say? Is it cold
Yeah,
out there?
it's not that bad. Everyone says
'Cause I
it's
heard you're
incredibly
doing some
rainy.
cold showers thing lately, right?
Yeah, yeah. I just started doing cold showers.
Nice.
Been doing that for like a week right now, and that actually came from a suggestion from Conrad from the map paint community, because we were doing like a wellness well-being session as a group together, and he suggested it. I was like, oh, let's try this, and I've heard rumors about it, and it's interesting. Definitely encourage
Okay.
people to give it a shot.
Do you feel any difference after the first week or any sort of changes that been the same?
I sleep better. I get at least an extra almost an hour of sleep. And
Nice.
then with it, I've noticed that it's going to sound weird, but your skin feels tighter.
Oh,
Um, yeah.
cool.
And then I've kind of noticed like you just seem more mentally awake as well. Um, so it's definitely something that I would encourage people to do. Start warm and then go cold and then get a towel on just to warm up again. Yeah.
That's nice,
Yeah,
man.
actually,
That's
I
nice.
find it harder to start warm. Like to
Really?
me, it's easier if I like just go in because I don't know, like the drop in temperature. It's what
Mhm.
kind of like that I don't like about it. If it's cold from the beginning, then you
Mhm.
can kind of like maybe ease into getting under the water.
Mhm.
Like that's how I did it the first few times.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's better because then your body like kind of I know he's not caught in surprise, I guess, like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm gonna take this nice warm shower and then boom.
Do you still do it?
Yeah, yeah. I do. I actually I like to do it after I work out,
Mhm.
just because like then my body is really like needing some like of that cold water,
Yeah.
and then at night I take like a warm one to sleep a little bit better.
Oh, you work
Um,
out in the morning, don't you?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Me
how?
too.
How do you do that? I don't know how people do that. Like, what time do you
You
wake up and
don't?
start working out?
Oh, I couldn't imagine like working out any other time than at
I
sunrise.
actually I don't like it, but it's the only time of the day that I can do that. So
Bloody hell.
Probably around like 6 or
Yeah,
7 a.m.
Oh, what time do you go to bed then? Like,
pretty
no,
early.
like yeah,
I
I
try
sleep
not to
I
around
fall
11
actually
asleep.
p.m.
oof.
yeah.
No,
So,
that's pretty late because I like to
or
sleep
10.
Mm.
enough, like 8 hours
Mm.
normal. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you don't really go for one specific number, but
Yeah.
for what feels right to you. So
Mm.
you get to a point where you no longer need an alarm clock because you wake up anyway.
Mm.
So
It's
that
true.
can only happen if, like a good morning is sustained by a good foundation the night before. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
how you,
Yeah,
you got to
I
prepare in
guess like
advance. And once you
having
get
a
that thing
routine.
going,
Mm.
yeah,
like on both ends, right? Like having a routine before you go to bed and a routine like right after you wake up. I think those are because then what happens like in the middle, it will vary a lot depending on the day. But
True.
as an example, I learned a lot from my dog because like she has to play before bed because that's how like she got used to, because it was the only time that I could play with her, and then like her day is not over until we have our playtime, right? And I feel like for us is the kind of like the same deal. Your body kind of learns how to like, oh, so I wake up, okay, now it's the time to go do like some physical exercise, and then like by the time that I take my shower before bed, my body's already like, okay, this is like the final step of the day, and now I'm like getting into that
It's
relaxed
just
mood.
commitment, to a
It
habit
is.
until it develops into your regular schedule.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
you've been going into cold showers, so that sucks, but you do it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Same story could happen with any other thing you might find like daunting, or like, oh,
Mhm.
working out in the morning? That's crazy, dude. So
It
you
is
can get
crazy
used to that
though.
too.
No, I like my sleep, but I do wake up at 7 a.m. every day though, no matter what. Which I feel like this kind of goes into the whole building your rituals and habits a little bit, especially with like what we do for the industry, having to do art, deal with clients, deal with all the notes and everything, just for like the mental aspect of it, for like oneself of just having rituals and
Yeah.
habits that you follow every day. It gets repetitive, but you got to do it to like maintain and grow and keep going, right?
Hey, why you find it crazy though? Like the workout in the morning and stuff.
I
Because you
like my
say,
sleep.
oh, that's crazy.
I like what, like for me, the I don't have energy in the morning. I am a night person, so for me to wake up, I immediately make my bed.
Mhm.
That is like the number one thing. It could be the end of the world happening, and if I'm waking up and that's happening, I'm gonna make my bed first. Like
Of
it
course.
has to happen.
Vice
Then
versa.
straight from there, going making coffee and then a protein shake, and then you go to the back and do your business, brush your teeth, make yourself look pretty, and then you go and do
You
work,
go about your
right?
day. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Go check your emails, and you just start your list of things to do. So you have your
Hey,
routine and ritual there.
so you don't check your phone in the morning, right? Like as soon as you wake up.
I try not to,
Good.
and if I do, I just keep it limited to just a little bit of the news, just reading like the highlights. Um, Trying to actually stay off of TikTok because that's toxic. Um,
I never got into that, so that's a pretty
Yeah.
easy way to.
I mean, Reels is already
I'm not
pretty
even.
addicting. too.
I'm
don't
not.
do it.
I'm not even gonna ask why is it toxic, because it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. No, I'm asking you because you mentioned two very opposite habits there, like making
Mm,
your bed
yeah.
and checking the phone, right? Because it's like, dude,
Mm,
you managed to win already. Don't waste it now checking your phone, right?
it's
So
true. Yeah.
it's a very simple trick to get you going from the first moment of your day. As soon as you
Mm,
wake up,
mm,
you enter this. You don't s- stay in there 5 more minutes. Just to
mm.
slowly wake up. There's some people who just jump out of bed, and I find that pretty effective. Like to manage to
Honestly,
push
it's the only
yourself
way I
up.
think.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like you have no one physically pulling you out, right? No one's
Right.
going to throw cold water on you or anything like that to shock you and wake you up. So you have to do that yourself somehow. So
Mhm.
that's only inside here. Like,
Mhm.
Ian, it's happening, bro. Right now.
Right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And you wake up like the Undertaker from WWE,
Mm,
right? And that's it.
mm.
Wow.
Exactly. You have to go for it, Adrian. Just wake up and
You know
go.
that
Hustle it.
that there's that meme video from the Liver King, like where he wakes up and then he takes the dumbbells and starts lifting.
God.
Yeah.
That's how I imagine it.
Still haven't seen it.
Straight in bed,
Yeah.
You wake up with the weights on and everything.
Just wake up with like
It
a pan in your head. Just
Oh
wake up
yeah.
and hit it.
There's like that
Yeah.
yeah, I
machine
think
that slaps you awake.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah.
I think it's just a matter of like getting to know yourself to the point where you understand your flaws and where you
Mm,
fail and why you fail every time. So you
mm,
don't repeat the process that keeps making you unhappy with yourself and
mm.
unfulfilled. So
Right.
once you figure that out, that weak spot, you can address the issue, and you can actually act on it somehow, like to prepare in advance. Like, okay, wait, I know I won't wake up tomorrow at the time I want to wake up
Mhm.
if I stay up late checking my phone, right?
Right. Mhm.
Or I know I'm not gonna feel good in the morning if I eat this type of food this late in the night. So then you know what to do. Like, quit doing the things
Okay,
that make you feel bad.
I do want to ask on that note though, like, what is
Mhm.
your flaw then? Like,
Mine.
I can tell you mine. Like mine, I cannot
Yeah.
have like chocolate at home or any kind of candy because I know I will not resist to that. You know, like I know like I can't resist it.
Yeah, I started
So
getting
I
rid of
will
those
go
too.
out of my diet if I like buy it. So I don't even
Yeah.
buy it. You know, like I go to the market, I get my list of things that I need to buy. I get those and only that. You know, and I don't even go to the like candy section, you know, or like the sweet section or chocolate section. It's like I can't do it. I know that I will fail if I do that. So it's
Yeah.
a
Hey, let's start with
like
Ian. Like, what's yours?
My biggest flaw. There's so
or
many.
like the hardship that like you know that you have that flaw and not necessarily like your biggest flaw as a human being because that might go into deep.
Um, oof. I can already think of quite a few. Like I try to avoid Cheez-Its, or like those goldfish
Goldfish.
crackers. Oh,
Mm,
those are addicting for me. Same with Reese's and M&Ms. So I try to use those actually as a reward system for yourself of every couple months of like, hey, you know what? Let's get this just because you did something big, right? But that's it. Otherwise, I'm gonna be on Cheez-Its or M&Ms quite a bit.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's good.
Mhm.
Bro, you dumb.
Um, ice cream. That's one of my biggest weaknesses. I would say so. Yeah, every day I've been replacing all processed sugar food with fruit. So I will just eat like raspberries, berries, strawberries. Just make a smoothie, put a dab of honey, some banana, and that's like my sugar for the day if I want to like have something sweet.
and they
Natural
become
sugar.
sweeter with time as well, right? Like the more that you
Yeah.
cut out actually sugar, like
Uh-huh.
the fruits they
Like the
seem
added
sweeter.
sugar,
Like that is
um,
yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, all the candy and stuff. But yeah, I've been doing intermittent fasting too. I don't know if you do that too, Ian.
Mhm.
I think it's really helpful as well.
Mhm. That one I kind of do a little bit because I don't eat 3 meals a day. I find it difficult just with all the time. So I
Yeah.
tend to kind of snack a little bit here and there, or do um, uh, 2 or 3 big meals a week, essentially, which tends to just keep me going, and a lot of protein shakes.
Yeah,
What about
you
you,
sound like
Adrian?
you're making a lot of good choices in life, man.
Oh, there can always be more, always. There's always like little things, even ones that you would be that like we subconsciously just do, and to catch those and stop that is difficult, really difficult. I would think that would probably be the hardest thing to do.
Yeah,
Are those small little repetitive habits that you've had for years and years and years, right?
yeah, definitely. Um,
As far as
me,
Adrian, yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know, man. Like I've been trying to put myself last year just so I have longer to think about it because it's like there's so many things that are like temptations to drag you out of your path, right? And it's been a long time since I stopped avoiding those temptations. I wanted them to be there. I wanted them to be visible. Happened with
Mhm.
games, happened with my phone, happened with like food that it's
Yeah.
not really healthy, sweets and all that stuff, right? Um and I just quit lying to myself, like I want to get better, I want to improve, and then you mess up. So every time I keep those things in front of me, like next to me and stuff like that, and you see it. You could reach for it right now. You could have it, but you choose not to. That's the mental power I'm after, in a way. Like, I want to be in charge. I want to rule my mind, not the other way around. So yeah, it gets you to the point where it's no longer impressive anymore. Like, oh yeah, it's just there, but I don't need it because I'm now aware of my purpose, my what makes me fulfilled and stuff like that. Now, there will be times where, because this is like waves, now you're productive and motivated. Now you're fucking sad and depressed, and like it's everything's bad. So I guess in time, this wavelength flattens to a stable kind of line, and you manage to stick to a habit, like a schedule,
Yeah.
right?
A routine.
Yeah, a routine, exactly. And you find what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And every now and then, there might be something that comes your way and snaps you out of it briefly. So here's the thing. Those are the things that kind of drive me off a little bit sometimes, right? I'm going to talk about this in a video that I'm going to release very soon, because I feel like nice things make me weak in a way. Like, everything's cool, everything's nice, everything's perfect. Like, you have no struggle, no problem, no reason to push yourself, to
Then you're not
evolve,
living,
to
though.
reach. What?
Then you're not living. That's not life. Nothing's perfect.
Eh, my man, exactly. So, when, I don't know, objectively speaking, life's good for all of us, right?
Mhm.
But that's what I mean. Like, you always look for something else to make it a little harder. So I don't know exactly how to address this point, but
It's getting
it
past the
feels good.
comfort.
It feels good when you overcome
Yeah.
that urge to not jump into the cold shower. Please don't do this. And you do it anyway, and you're done. You finish, and you go like, "Ha! I knew I could do it." Next time you repeat it again, and one day it becomes just a habit. Like, we got to do this shit again anyway. Let's go. And you do it, and it
Right.
just becomes who you are. So,
But then with it, you here and there, um, by just like coincidence, you realize other effects that just naturally happen from breaking that habit or making a habit or doing a new routine because of the progress of time of when you started to when you're being so repetitive of like, oh, I've been doing cold showers for a week now. Now I've like really my skin feels tighter. I feel more awake. I'm getting better sleep. And it just naturally happens over time. And then you have that small moment after a bit of time going, oh crap, I just noticed this in my life that's has now shifted and
yeah.
altered. And that one little thing now affects all these other things in your life. So it's kind of, so I was kind of wondering with you, like, how do you depict um, some of those habits of, and traits of, okay, if I'm doing so many of these things, do I find which one's going to be the most effective to be affecting everything else? Or
That's
do
why
you
you have
go
to
and
experiment a
do,
lot.
yeah.
You have to test yourself. And
Mhm.
the way to do that would be like, it's probably very helpful for you to spread them across individual, like to isolate them somehow.
Mhm.
So if you want to find out which food is affecting you the most, you should try stop eating this thing for a while and see what happens. Nothing? Okay, then keep eating that and stop eating something else. Um, if that same muscle always hurts because you're running and weightlifting and stretching and martial arts and all that stuff, try to kind of narrow it down to a specific type of training where you kind of, I don't know, you can pinpoint things specifically and see, oh, this was the exercise that fucked me up every time. It's the only way. I feel like you have to experiment. You have to put yourself through that. And going back a little bit to my point from earlier is that, um, what happens sometimes with those temptations when they come in, right? And you've been doing very well, but I notice how I become very aware of like, Adrian, you're derailing yourself a little bit right now. Adrian, what are you doing, bro? I'm like, trust me, bro. I know what we're doing. It's fine. Watch me. Like, let's watch this guy do it badly, you know, messing up, fucking up everything we've built just so we can build it back up again. So, for instance, you would have an occasional party with your friends, like a birthday, or there's cake. I don't eat cake, bro. Yeah, but it's just once, man. Come on. So those are the times where it's like you break out of your usual schedule for a brief moment,
Right.
and you messed up because now it's like the rhythm is discontinued. But maybe that's the point. Maybe it's just a test. It's just, show me who you are. Are you gonna just break down because of this little thing now?
Mhm.
Or are you gonna continue and carry on with your usual schedule afterwards? For instance, I've had some nights where like sleep is like sacred to me, right? And I don't like to cut out sleep. So there's been some nights where I had to stay up a little late, right?
Right.
And next morning, guess what happens? Do you think I sleep later? No, I wake up at the same time anyway, because it's the way you're wired, right? It's just your habit. So I'll be like, okay, no worries, not happening again. That's it. So you address the issue actively. And yeah, and I guess I don't know if this answers your question about like, because I can't think of a specific food or, oh, it's this video game that I always like to play. And it's like, no, it's just a general thing. Like, I like to commit to things that they seem impossible to you. Like,
Mhm.
Ian, you're never going to pull that off, man. And your other self is like, fuck you. Of course it can. You'll
Right.
see,
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
alter
So
ego.
that's where you
Mhm.
find power in that guy, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a matter of waking up to the realization that it's really, really up to you and no one else.
Mhm. It always
No
is.
one's gonna wake you up in the morning and make your bed and try to make you a happier man, right?
Right.
And try to be productive for you.
I wish.
Nobody, bro. No one
Maybe with
cares.
maybe
Everybody
with AI.
everybody has their own thing going on. They have their own lives, and it's just life,
Right.
So just do whatever you want to do, but commit to it.
Mhm.
If you
Yeah,
say
it's
you
always
want this, do it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's always on you, no matter what. On what you do, what you decide, what you go after, what you want to change and alter. It's all your perception.
Because
Um,
some people are like, no, because it's like you don't have to take the blame for things that have nothing to do with you. And I'm like, fine, you don't have to. But as soon as you assume, you take responsibility for
mhm.
literally everything that happens, right? You at least stand a chance to make it better, to improve it somehow. Because then you
But
take an active role.
how many people actually take responsibility?
That's the problem, right?
Mhm.
If not enough
Yeah.
people take responsibility,
Yeah.
how do you think the world ends up like? A better place or a worse place? So, yeah. But I don't think that's a reason enough for you
Mhm.
to crumble
Mhm.
and to, not take action just because no one else is doing it. Because
Mhm.
that's probably what also sets you apart from the crowd.
Right.
It's like, out of all these people, Ian was the only guy who stood up to that and did something,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And then you probably inspire someone else to do the same. Typical escalation thing in movies, right? Someone in the crowd stands, tall, and
Mhm.
he gets a beating because of it, but then someone else does the same, someone else, until they can't with all of them. So that's the secret cheat code of life, maybe, that people don't realize, that strength in numbers and stuff, right? But strength in numbers is only originated in individual strength,
Mhm.
because you have to fix your inner world first if you want to fix the outer world. If you want to fix your surroundings, you better take care of your temple first. And that's where it begins with these choices that we're all mentioning here, food, sleeping, exercising, making better choices about your connections, jobs. It's this list, this priority list.
Yeah.
And in that list, it can be even to the smallest detail in terms of like, how do you speak? Like you don't even see it anymore actually, because of COVID. You don't see people shaking hands anymore. And like in college, that was part of one of our classes was when you walked in, you had to shake the teacher's hand, and he wouldn't tell you that you had to do it. He always stood in front of the class every single day with his hand out, and people didn't recognize it, see it for several months until one other student and me and one other person all of a sudden were like, let's just like go for it, see what happens, and it worked. And then just every day it became like shake the person's hand. But now with COVID, nobody does it, so you've got like always these weird fist bumps or elbows or foot touches, or you don't know what to do.
That's not what happened here though. Like Brazil is such like a touch culture, right? Because even like with other guys, you don't even just shake their hand, you shake their hands and also give a little hug, right? And then with girls, like you give a little kiss on the cheek. So it's like that went completely back to normal because we couldn't like stay away from that part of the culture. Because and it felt super weird like to not do that in the first like during the whole craze thing. But like now it feels like it's back to normal because I feel it's I don't know, but I feel like people are more open to each other if they are more physical with each other as well. It's like that barrier it's already like crossed, right? So you don't have to be like too shy or I don't know, even with people that you barely know, right? It's very common to say hi or to like to be like physical with them. So that I feel like we create friendships way faster than, as an example, when I was in the US, where I felt people were like a lot more distant. And when you are out on a group, it's as if like instead of you guys being one group, which is what happens here, right? Like you can barely know the other guy, but you guys are in this group of friends. And for at least that night, everyone's identified as friends, right? So it's like everyone talks with each other as if they knew themselves like for a long time. But in the US, I felt like it was instead of one whole group, it's a bunch of small groups that just happen to be together.
It's like really cliquey, kind of.
It is very clicky.
I've seen it happen a lot.
But like back to the main point from that, it's like even like with recognizing that click and whatever, it's like making that choice of like, you know what, I don't want to make the clicks. So how do we break that to make what we want to make, and building the habits and routines with what we want to be doing so that we can benefit better, like building your communities, building yourself better. And like with people not shaking hands anymore, I'm trying to go back to doing that because that was something I felt very confident with in Light. And it's something like I took out of my life because of a global event, obviously. But now it's like, okay, this is a routine, or not even a routine, a subconscious habit that I like. I want to get back to it. And then there's other routines where you're like, oh, you know what? I don't like wearing jeans or something. So you just eliminate it. So what I'm kind of getting with is like making the choices of habits and rituals and like testing it, of what do you like, what do you not like, what's working for you, what's not working for you, and then what are you willing to test over time to see what's going to work for you in the long run and what's even sustainable with doing that, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think it all starts with yourself, right? Once you build yourself up and you build your physique and you build your mental habits and everything, then you start to attract people towards you because you've built that garden for yourself. And when that attracts other people, then you start to build your own tribe away from the people that you once followed, right?
Right.
So it's all about taking care of yourself and being the best version you can be. So you have other people with like-minded interests coming into
Mm.
your circle.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like-minded individuals attract like-minded individuals, right? So,
Mm.
um, it's like you're gonna have that tribe no matter what.
Mm.
And we're saying tribe because it's like a clear analogy, right, of like group of friends and stuff. But it's either gonna be, it's if you take a look around, it's almost always like the gamers, the guys that work out, the guys that
Mm.
like this specific
Go and play.
show, or right. And of course, obviously, they're gonna mix up at some point, and you're gonna end up with this very diverse group of friends where this guy's like an extreme sports star, and this guy's like just making movies, and this guy is a professional gamer or something, like some different branching in life, right?
Mm.
But eventually, at the core, I think they do share some solid values and philosophies about their way of life, right? And is what binds them together. Because what happens when you're establishing a relationship based on a temporary addiction or yeah, like a video game or a drug, or we used to hang out because you're always coming to this gym. As soon as we move gyms, like no longer friends or something.
Mm.
So it's those are the not lasting relationships, friendships. But when you connect with someone at a core level, like you just, I don't know how to explain it. Like you share some of that depth, I guess, that you
One
can
part,
definitely relate to.
one part of that
Go.
death, be what you were saying earlier about having a moment of weakness. Of um, you mentioned it that you had a weak moment or something, um, right?
Yeah, like you've been through so many hard things you've been putting yourself through, and now suddenly everything's like so much nicer, and you feel like, what is
That's
this? What
that's
is
only
this
for a
nice?
sliver. It's always
Yeah,
going to be just for a sliver of time.
yeah. Until you figure out a way to make it again worthy of your effort, right? Because
Right.
it's like, imagine this, bro. Imagine sitting on your back like this all your life. You don't have to worry about anything, nothing. Like what kind of, I don't know.
Sounds like Brazil.
I don't think that's a
How's,
possibility though. Like
but what
there
if it
will be
was,
something I
Andre?
don't need to. No, no, like
Yeah, but what if it
no.
was?
I think the
Imagine it.
fact that
It's
you
a
are a human being,
hypothetical.
right?
Yeah,
The fact
but
that you are a
imagine it's
human
a
being, like
It's not
hypothetical thing.
impossible.
Like
I mean, people have.
everyone is gonna take care of you
no,
to the
look,
point where you have
you
to do
might not
nothing.
have, like you might not have, let's say things that, let's say that you have no need in terms of like all your physical needs are met, right? So like
Mm.
you have enough money to like live the rest of your life without having to work, and you'll not like starve for
Mm.
anything or hurt for anything, or like
Yeah,
everything that you want is there. You will have emotional needs that will are not met, right? Because the very fact that like you are a human being and you are alive and you know that you'll die someday will create that emotional like pressure for you to
Mm.
do something and make your life I would say like worth living, but it's just like for you to have meaning in there. Which
Mm.
is why you see like people that are extremely rich like are also a bit fucked up, right?
Mm.
Because everyone is this same journey of finding meaning.
Mm.
And I don't think like it really matters the physical things are a part of it. And of course that like if you don't have like if you let's say you were starving, right? You don't have enough food, of course that affects you.
Mm.
But I think it the real like pressure of when you achieve a certain like let's say all of us, right? I don't think any of us is like living in a bad situation. So that needs already met to the like standard that it needs to be met. Our other needs are like what you were talking about, right? After you were after a certain threshold, it's all about like, oh, now we want to optimize this.
Mm.
Like someone who's starving doesn't think about intermittent fasting, you know. So like doesn't think about cold showers, doesn't think about
exactly.
like all of those aspects of life.
Mm.
That for us, like that's our threshold, right? And then when
You
you
you get
achieve,
to a
let's say, so
point.
a higher
Go ahead.
one,
Sorry.
which is the one that we were talking about, then we can say like,
Yeah.
oh, that person doesn't need anything, right? Let's say that they have every aspect that we're talking about figured out. I do still think that there's the pressure of meaning of life, and
What
the
is
way that
it?
I see it, it's like the more that you check the boxes of things that you might need that you do have,
Mhm.
the larger the box of meaning of life becomes,
Yeah, because you
because
want
then you
more.
have time to think about that, and then like I don't see, let's say, someone who's very poor
Mhm.
actually like stopping to think like, oh, do I love what I do for for a living? They don't have time to do that. They need to
No,
work
they
because they
don't.
need the money. Otherwise, like the bill of the very month that they're working for. There's a saying here like they work in the morning to eat at night, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like there are people that actually live like that,
Mhm.
and they don't have time to do what we are doing, and we don't like have the time to do what people with more than what we have now
Mhm.
like
Right.
are stopping to think about. So I think that's kind of like, I don't think that there's an end to that,
Mhm.
just because of the fact that we are like humans, and that's a part of our lives.
Yeah, you always want more.
Yeah, and that's a problem. I think it has to do probably with something with about abundance,
Mhm.
overabundance, maybe. Because look at us now on the internet
Oh,
with the
the,
amount of things you could be spending your time on.
the
It's like
power
a
of
hard choice
choice.
to make, even. Like, oh, which one do I go first for? It's like a
Mhm.
kid lost in a candy shop.
Mhm.
Wait,
You
so
know?
you're saying that TikTok's not worthwhile?
Oh no, no, TikTok is like perfect. You should go for TikTok. You should embrace
Oh, yeah.
TikTok and just
Go
waste your
waste your
life on
time.
TikTok.
Mhm. Waste your
Same
time. Do
goes,
it.
same for any other tool. Like we used to tell ourselves, no, I'm only on this tool because,
Mhm.
sorry, only on this platform because it's a tool. I'm an artist. I have to promote myself. And like, I get it. But then you're still subjecting yourself to the mechanisms under which this platform was designed to keep you away from your other focuses. It's just
Mhm.
designed to keep you in, to steal your attention, basically, to stay on the app. Don't leave, right? No matter what. Just look at this other kitten video, look at this funny kitty video again. Like, it's like
So much
all those
dopamine
things.
release
What do they call that?
everywhere.
Doom scrolling, right?
Yeah.
When you
Doom
just,
scrolling.
it's
It's
just, yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
you no longer even know why you're there. You just came
okay,
in
like,
here
so
because you had a message you had to read from someone. And then the next thing you know, it's been 30 minutes and you've been watching
you
the
just
most
lose track of
random,
time.
stupid things. Yeah.
Mhm.
And there you go. There's
Becomes an
your day,
actor.
Same
Yeah.
story with video games and other. Go
Oh,
ahead, Andre. I hear you. You want to say
no,
something?
like well, there's two things that I think about that. The first one is that I'm actually making my phone like dumber and dumber as time goes by. I'm taking apps from it, leaving only the essentials. So like I recently uninstalled Instagram again. Like
Mhm.
I don't have any other social media in there, and I'm thinking of like uninstalling YouTube as well, so I don't waste more time with that.
Good.
There's an app
But
on the store that helps you minimize your phone. So it turns
Mhm.
everything black and white, and you can it like nothing's
oh,
colorful. So when you go on your phone, you don't get that release of dopamine to click on the
oh,
colorful
nice.
buttons.
I
Yeah.
think I'll download that then,
Called
because
like
I
About
minimalist,
find
I
that
that,
think.
life is more
Yeah.
joyful without.
it's I go for it the same way I go for everything else. Like cut it from the root, man. Like
Mhm.
no more phone. That's it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like I mentioned, the games, the food, the temptations, we
Mhm.
each have our own.
Mm.
And no, don't take them away from me. Let them there. I want to see it
Mhm.
because I want to be able to say no despite seeing it there, And same story with my phone. Like no fancy
You know,
removal apps from anything, just phone away.
Mhm.
That's it. No more phone.
Throw it.
It's surprising, guys, how
Mm.
soon your mind adapts to it and you forget about your phone because in time you develop this um, reflex, almost like you're reaching into your pocket, doing the gesture to pick up the phone and, unlock
Yeah.
it. And then same story here at the desk, maybe because you keep it next to you, and
Mhm.
you will notice your hand doing this sometimes, like involuntarily, and then there's nothing to grab there. There's nothing. The phone is not there anymore. That's what I mean with this mental awareness thing, like self awareness. You
Mhm.
have to understand yourself and the things that make you go lost, the things that help you win. Go
And
ahead,
just,
Ian.
I was gonna say, like, just eliminate some of those things. Like, I don't know if you call it like a cleansing or something, but like, years ago, I got rid of playing games because I was like, I get stuck on the TV. I don't even like having a TV. I don't even have one. I want to get a projector though, just because of like a movie night or something with friends, but that's it. And like keeping it minimal of what you're doing for those things. I put out games. I don't even have games on my phone at all. So if I'm on an airplane, I don't have a game, I'm kind of screwed. So I just have the movie in front of me and that's it. Or try to sleep or listen to the baby crying for the next 24 hours. Right. So I'm just kind of going with like, get rid of things in your life that are just a time suck. If it's TikTok or Instagram or YouTube or whatever. But then even with those things, like I keep my Facebook and Instagram royally clean in terms of it's just artists, nothing else. I don't even have family on there. I keep that completely separate in a different email, just for them. That's it. They aren't even. I don't even have them on Facebook. They're not even allowed to even see it, just because
Same here.
it's your boundary. You just keep it separate, and that helps you have a bit more structure in life. Of okay, this is this is that, and lets you just have the organization going. And when you're getting rid of a TV and games, or even stuff on your phone or whatever, you find more time for other things to experiment, try a new habit, find something else that you want to be doing, and see what happens with it. Right. So,
Hey,
like,
how did you get to that point of taking action like that on your apps and like the way you
oh, you really
deal
want to
with your
know?
phone and the TV and stuff? Like, how did you get to the point where
Something
you
really
say,
bad
okay,
happened. Come on,
this
spill the
has to
beans.
change? No, because
A
I
wake-up
think of it
call.
as an extreme kind of thing. Like it's okay, then it's not extreme enough for you to change anything. Because when you truly get to the point where you're sick of it, like I no longer want this, then you take action and you make a change. Like
No,
phone away, uninstall this app, no more games, no more TV, and like in your case, right?
yeah.
So what was, if I can ask that, of course, like what brought you
Oh,
to that decision?
there's several ones in life. I think it's just life in general that happens to everyone, right? So either a heartbreak or one of the biggest ones for me was actually financial. I don't grew up. We didn't grow up poor, but we grew up with. Um, I don't even know how you describe it. Like not the greatest of benefits financially. Like we didn't have a big house or loads of cars or anything. It's not like we could go and take family trips all the time. So with growing up, um, I kind of went with like, you know what, I want to have some of these things. Um, and part of it, I think, was on my parents' side of them going like, hey, you're not going to get a phone until you're in 10th grade. And then like the first phone I had was the brick, right? That phone, and you could have like 5 numbers on it. And one of them had to be 911, mom, dad, brother, and then like a friend. And that's it. And you're like, oh, crap. But for me in life, it was always part of it was just a financial situation that I had. I was living in Wisconsin, Hudson, Wisconsin, and I was living in really poor conditions in an apartment there. And that one for me was like, this sucks. I had a roommate who played games 24/7 and kept getting fired from his jobs all the time. And then I noticed that when I was playing games, I was spending just as much time as him. And I was going, I'm getting nowhere with my life. This sucks. And then that even I had a similar situation when I started drinking a little bit because I was working in restaurants, and cooks and chefs drink a lot and they do a lot of other stuff. But that just became like a big time suck again of like, man, I'm getting nowhere. I don't want to be here. I'm not doing what I feel is my purpose in life. Right. So
Because you
again,
were
it's
trying to avoid it, right? Like to
yeah,
escape some of that
yeah.
pain.
Yeah, and part of it was just thinking like, oh, it's just going to happen naturally, right? Like just out of the
At some
blue.
point, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that's not the reality of it. It's Ashler talked about it on his podcast, that like luck and miracles are kind of like a bus. And if you're at the bus stop, the bus comes, and it's either you get on it or you stay off of it and wait, or you miss the bus. One of those. So, like, the way I got rid of stuff was just going, you know what? Playing games takes all my life. I've noticed that it eats up my entire day, my entire night, and I got nothing done. No, let's get rid of it. Okay, games on my phone. That's the same thing when I'm at the airport and I miss my flight or something. Nope, not going to allow that again. So you just eliminate it. And then with Instagram or Facebook or whatever, it's like, okay, you have a professional career, keep it clean. Like, I redid my Facebook and Instagram like 3 times just to eliminate it because it was like, okay, you know what? I messed up, start over, um, go at it again and make it better. And then from keeping it clean and everything, you can then just build that foundation, build those better habits. So you kind of have to. I try to encourage people at times of like do like a purge of things in your life a bit. Just eliminate crap that just takes your time, and then write down what are things that you want to change, habits that you want to fix, routines that you want better, routines that you need to fix. Make some rules in your life, adopt rules from other people. And like, even if you're having a moment of weakness, I don't even see that even as a moment of weakness. I would see weakness as a strength because it allows you to be vulnerable and have that weakness. To me, I think that's probably one of the greatest ways to be strong is to be weak, to be enough, right? Because then you can lean on your peers and friends and colleagues for a little bit of that help. And then that's on you to go, okay, last week I took what they told me to do, and do I do it or do I not? Right?
Yeah, I think it's okay to have a moment of weakness. What's not okay, though, in my opinion, is to stay like that because you know it's wrong. You know what's wrong. You know what the problem is, and you're not addressing it. You're just hiding from it. So that's how you end up, going for all these distractions. So you end up being a distracted individual,
Right.
and that's how dreams don't happen. you know, that's how things don't get done
Mhm.
because you keep running away from it, waiting for someone else to come save you in a way. Oh,
Right.
at some point, I'm sure it naturally it's going to happen. Like I used to think that way too, but then I realized, wait a minute, bro. If I don't do it now,
Mhm.
when the hell am I going to do this?
Right.
No one's coming here to do it for me. So it's like
Mhm.
it goes back, full circle to the
Yeah.
making your bed in the morning,
Yeah.
choosing those, making those better choices for yourself and
Mhm.
realizing that it's up to you and no one
Right.
else.
Mhm. And like with some of those choices, like the making the bed one actually started when after my grandfather died, because he was in the Navy, and every summer when we came back to the United States and we visited them, um, my grandfather had muscular dystrophy and was in a wheelchair, and he would ask me to make his bed. And I never understood the purpose of it until afterwards. He was just like, it's the first task of the day. And it's what you do. That one task sets up all your other tasks. And then after he died, I was like, you know what? He's right. Let's do this. And oddly enough, it affects everything else. Right. So it's adopting some of those things here and there just from like past times. Um, and then you have like going back to like purging things in your life. Like, did you guys have something in your life where you were just like,
Bro, that's absolutely
hey,
true. Like what you said, like guys, you realize how everything's tied up, right? Everything's
okay.
like connected. It's in these subtle victories
Mm,
or defeats that you go through every day
mm,
where you can find the deeper meaning of the bigger picture of your life. It's
mm,
how things get affected, like this little, it's like, what do they call that, like the waves on a drop that just
mm.
drop of water.
Ripples. Mm,
Yeah, those ripples, exactly.
Mhm.
mm,
They amplify in time.
mm. They
So
do.
those ripples can be good things or bad things. You
yeah.
decide, right?
Mm,
If you're the dude who always takes care of himself, so he's in a good position to take care of his surroundings, his people, then
mm.
that's going to amplify most likely. If you're the
Always
guy that
does.
keeps hiding, that keeps running away from his responsibilities, and keeps claiming, like, yeah, this is what I want to do, you're
Mm,
all just running your mouth, right? All around, but never actually doing anything, then that's going to
mm,
probably amplify. You're going to end up lying a lot, lying not to people, but to yourself, which is the saddest thing ever. So
mm,
that's why I encourage people to stop lying to themselves, man. Every
mm,
time you say you want to achieve something, I don't care how insignificant it is. It can be just making my bed every morning. I want to do that, you know? Then
mm,
do it, bro. Remember this the next time you wake up next morning,
mm,
and remember this moment and do it. Make your bed. Don't go for your phone. Don't
mm,
go to get breakfast first. I'll do it later, Don't do that.
mm.
Address
Yeah.
it now is what I would say. I don't know what you guys think.
Start
Yeah.
simple with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Start
We
with
tend to
one
go
thing at a time.
like for a lot of different changes at the same time, and that only cripples you even more because it's fucking overwhelming. Of course,
Yeah.
it feels impossible, and at some point you crystallize that in your mind as an impossible thing, and
Mm,
then it stays like that.
Yeah, I
So
do think we
you're
have
stuck.
like I don't say like limited, but like our willpower every day is like only so much. That let's say you want to change like all of your habits at once, that would take so much willpower that like at the end of the day you are so drained.
Yeah.
That was like a bad experience to do those things, right? And then like changing one
Yes.
at a time is like, oh, I changed. Let's say this week I'll change this habit, and then you build like a stronger one in replacement. Then you, instead of like making you tired or weak, like you get the reward of, okay, I'm actually making my life better and moving in the right direction, right? And I do think it all stems from like knowing what are your values, like what do you really value in life, and then from that extracting what like those daily habits or what the attitudes will be, or setting your like ideal self in your mind, and always I want to say comparing yourself to this ideal self, right? But not in a like negative way of, oh, I'm still so far away from him, but more in a, like, okay, what will I change now? Like what's the next thing in the huge list of things that I'm still not like that guy
mm,
or
Because there's
that
two
girl or
ways of
whatever.
looking at it, right? Like, oh, I'm so far from that guy. I'm never gonna make
Yeah,
it,
you will be
or oh, I'm so
intimidated, right?
far from him. I love this. I got a lot of room to improve.
Because
So
there's always like the idea of, oh fuck, man, if I was that guy like always, like my life would be so much better now. I'm such like
that's what I
like I'm
think, bro.
so
Like
far
people don't
behind.
really they don't think in time, like far
In
ahead.
decades. Right.
They don't think long term. That's what I mean. Like they don't think what's gonna happen 5 years from now, bro. Oh, you never know, because life is short, and yeah, I know it's short, but anything can happen at any moment, right? But let's assume that's not your goal. Your goal is not to just die anytime now, right? So you want to stay alive, survive, persevere, improve yourself, help the world, make this place into a better place. And the way you do that is by addressing these issues that are preventing you from reaching that version of yourself that you're aspiring. Like you have this image of yourself, the perfect Ian, the perfect Dom, the perfect Andre. So you're competing against that guy. And the second you sit down and think, what does that guy do right now? Like, what would he do in this moment? That ideal
Your
self.
future self. Yeah.
What am I doing? As opposed to that.
How far in the
Fuck,
future do
bro.
you look, though?
How far in the future?
Do you look? Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Sometimes maybe you don't even have to start with the time issue.
Mm, mm,
Just think
Yeah,
of
I was going to
that
say
guy.
that I don't think as much like in the like
Could be 5 years
extremely
from
long
now.
term,
Could be
like
next week.
it's
You
interesting.
but
decide.
in the moment it's very good to think about that, I feel like
Yeah.
like having the ideal self and
Yeah.
knowing, as an example, right, like I
Right.
do want to be a dad one day,
Mm,
but I'm not thinking that like, okay, I want to be a dad in exact like 3 years and 24 weeks,
Exactly.
right? Like that's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
the point. It's more
Yeah.
like, okay, if I'm going to be a father one day, what are the aspects
What are the
of
goals you have
myself
to
that
reach
I
first?
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
who do I want to not only that, but like who do I want to be in terms
What
of
do you want to
values as a person
Mhm.
to pass that on, right?
Mhm.
And if I'm not there yet myself, I feel like okay, I'm not like ready. I'm not, and not that you will ever be 100% ready, because
Right.
again, the goals will
Never mind.
walk as you evolve as well.
Mhm.
But knowing that if you do it that way, it's the better prepared that you can ever be, right? Like you
Right.
will when it happens, I will be the better prepared at it. As an example, right now, just
Mhm.
because every day I'm comparing myself to that ideal self, and
Yeah.
it is intimidating, and I do think being intimidating, it's part of like
You
uh
gotta embrace it.
yeah, exactly, like dismissing that it's intimidating. I don't think it's useful, and also like not acknowledging that, or it's the same deal as with Adrian was talking about, right? The fact that he puts himself in the in the sight of the temptation, right?
Mhm.
I feel like the same idea, that you look something that intimidates you in the eye and you like still move forward. I feel like that's
It's
part of
overcoming
the
But
your fears. You know,
Mhm.
the
yeah.
part of you that always drags you back,
Mhm.
It's the
never
fear of
lets you
like being
continue.
insufficient, right?
Mhm. But isn't it also just like allowing the possibility of that potential?
Yeah. It's because you cannot have one without the other, right? You cannot have the like that being a possibility and not being intimidated,
Right.
like one without the other. It can't be like something that will challenge you without being intimidating at the same time. I feel like it's the same way that I don't know you guys, but when I started working as an artist, right, it was intimidating as hell, because all of a sudden it was from, oh, this is something that would be nice to make money
Mhm.
off, and then like, oh fuck, now it's for real, right? Like
Now
now
you
I
have to do
need
it
to
every
perform.
single
Now I
day.
need to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Nonstop.
yeah.
But
And I feel like life is like that. Like
It is.
if you don't get the reward without the intimidation part. And one experience
Exactly.
that I had recently, the guys know I started doing jiu-jitsu as well as part of my training routine, and it's fun and all when you're practicing the movements.
Mhm.
But when you actually go into like to roll with someone like for real, like that's when it's actually like fun and like scary at the same time.
challenging, yeah.
But when you like one of the recent ones that I had, I actually stopped being like submitted, so like I could resist until the end. Which I'm like white belt, I don't know shit, but it was one of my first goals, right? And the fact that I spent the whole session without being submitted, like that was the like this extra reward. But to make that happen, I had to look the guy that I knew could rip my head off, and like in the face and say, "Okay, let's do this. Let's try." And of course, like it's all in a friendly environment, and you don't like you're not really at a like risk of anything bad happening.
Mhm.
But when you are doing it, like you don't actually like you forget all about the safety of it. Like you just want to like get rid of that guy that's like on top of you. And going through those experiences, I feel like makes the more like philosophical side of things, or the more like
Builds your mental state.
yeah, psychological mental states, and anything that is non-physical related. I feel like the physical side of having actual experiences like that actually help, because they are very much parallel to each other.
Yeah, they always are.
All of this stuff is like so basic. I can't see how people get it wrong all the time. You know, like it's the way
Hey,
life is. Like you
Well,
don't
I
get the
can see
reward
how
without putting your effort in first. You have to
There's so
earn
much
something, right?
distractions. I think
yeah,
that's
but
why
It's like in order to
every kid
evolve
nowadays had
to
a
so
get to
medal for participation, so that's how you
right,
got that.
yeah.
it's the power of choice.
It's why would I put myself through the worst things possible if I could have like a good life?
Mm,
It's heaven on earth, right? I can live this life.
mm.
Well, do it and you'll find out later on.
Yeah, just give it a
Because
shot.
I'm convinced that's it,
What do you have to
it just
lose?
can't be good. You know, they say um a calm sea or a calm ocean doesn't make a good sailor. You need those rough
Sure thing.
struggles. Bro, seriously, is I don't it's the way I see it, you know, and to me it seems so basic. It's like, oh, dude, of course. Yeah, that's life. It's
But
how every other like every other being, living being. It's the way they came to happen.
Was
You
the
know?
willingness to go through the storm, or do you go back to the beach and walk it off? Right?
You go into the storm. The storm's going to catch up with you anyway at some point.
Yeah.
So you can run from it now, suffer later, for longer, because the storm is going this way, this direction, and it's faster than you, but just so you're running at the same time, the same pace as the storm almost, right? Because you're so scared you're running away from it. It's going to last even longer. Whereas if you go into the storm, you tackle those fears, right? You run right into it. It's going to be gone. It's going to be like this. You go the other direction.
That's a oddly good metaphor, man. Like, that's a very good one, the runny one.
I was just thinking about this a few days ago. Like, fuck yeah. I mean, it makes sense as an analogy, of course. Life is like much more complex than that, but it's a good starting point, I think.
Yeah, that's another point.
Stop
right?
avoiding it. Stop
Life
putting
will
it off.
throw a lot of bad things in your direction already. Like, you don't need to help it do that, So, like,
guys, now,
life.
yeah, like all of these things that I'm saying, like I'm obviously talking to you now, but in deep inside, this is for myself. Like, these are the things that I tell to myself. This is for myself, It's like a reminder. Like, every time you try to bring up that weaker side of you, like, this is what happens. This is how I talk to myself. Like, I'm like, no, Adrian, remember, bro, you said it, right? Don't mess up now. So it's a nice way to keep myself going and to remind myself what happens if I don't open my eyes and if I don't take responsibility for my own actions and for everything you go for at the moment, really. Like, you prefer the apple or the chocolate bar or something like that, right? You prefer the nice, sweet things or the difficult things to do. Like, fuck the salad, man. Why can't I have this fucking ice cream or something, right?
Yeah.
You go like, yeah, have some ice cream. It's fine. Like, okay, it's fine now. Next
You give
time,
yourself an
you're
excuse.
going to do the same. You'll remember, oh, last time I did it anyway, so it won't hurt if I do it a second time. And then next thing you know, it's been 3 years. You can't quit, and your body is resentful. Your mind is resentful because you could be doing so much better if it wasn't for those choices. But again, it's how all these addictions end up happening, I guess. Like, you, in a way, you should quit.
Yeah.
It's harmful, but I've been doing it for so long. It's like, yeah, I can't quit. It's hard, right?
Yeah.
So I think, and I have valid, not valid, like solid proof, like real life proof in my life. I know stories of people who just overnight decided to end it just like that. No more smoking, no more sugar, no more this, no more that. Just work out, improve myself, improve my skills, get a better job,
They hit fuck it mode, didn't they?
Sorry?
They hit fuck it mode, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A very hard wall.
Yeah.
It's like, bro,
I think
if I
everyone
don't,
has moments like that.
there's
To me,
a wake
I
up
did that with
call
video
for
games,
all of us.
Yeah. Video games where I have a very addicted personality, right? So like every game that I got into, I was like full in, like spending 20 hours a day. I let everything to the side. So I had to really like look at myself and like, okay, no more. I cannot get close to it. I know, like and it's been, I don't know, more, probably like 10 years since I actually like played a video
Just
game.
remember how it makes you feel. You want that again? Then act like it.
I showed Adrian my past playing video games.
Bro,
It was
he
terrible.
showed me. Yeah, dude, your library, like Steam.
I had
what was it?
over 200 games on Steam that I just put all away to the side. So I haven't touched that Steam library in over 5 years or 6 years or so.
Believe it.
Yeah.
Believe the temptation. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, it took over my life.
Do you keep it just to like as a reminder though?
Yeah, I mean Steam is still on my computer, but all the games are completely gone. So I don't even.
You see, the thing is that then you feel guilty, because I already had to put a lot of effort into making the money to spend on this thing. Now I have to
Yeah.
consume it somehow, be it either sweets or some movie you bought or some, I don't know, whatever you were into, right? Video games.
You gotta
Uh,
delegate it.
it took me a lot of money, so now I have to use it somehow, right?
I
And then you
feel guilty.
feel
I
the
feel dumb,
guilt.
you know. First,
Yeah, I mean, no, this is very subtle. That's what I mean. It's in your subconscious somehow. It's lingering back there in the background of your mind, and you know there's something off, and it's really itchy, right? So that's why it's so hard to make those decisions. Like, yeah, fuck all these games. I don't need them anyway. Just making me waste my time,
We have a life
But
moment.
then I can understand how some people make a living off of that. So it's obviously a relative statement. But in general, I believe that it's not really going to help you much. We can get into this topic even further because I
You
do
guys
believe,
want
like,
to
I have this.
segue into the other topics like AI
Yeah,
or something? Or
yeah. We can talk
mental
AI if you
health?
want to. Yeah.
Oh, God, I love AI. Everyone's
So,
freaking out.
so what is that? What's AI?
well,
Everyone knows this.
I heard of it, but I'm not sure.
yeah, it's a. I feel like the controversial side of it, like like there's actual like good points about that. But I do, in general, I look at it as something that like if it's not already, it will be inevitable, and it will fundamentally change how the concept art side of things does things, how the illustration side of things does things. But recently, I've been also looking at it in a more like broad way, as like for the society, like what can change in terms of our little niche of things. Because I also feel like we are all artists and we are surrounded by other artists, and it seems like the world is ending. And then, like, you go outside of that bubble and you can't even hear the sound of that world ending, you know? So, putting it into perspective that way as well, it's helping me in the sense of like understanding how to look at it.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, I do think it will change a lot our little bubble.
Oh,
And the more that it grows,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly.
No,
But,
yeah.
no, I just think like once the controversial side of things, which I do understand, like why people want the rights of their own images, the one that they produce, right? Of course, like
Mhm.
it's what they did,
Mhm.
and I do think that will need to be addressed. But as a tool for helping you like have ideas or producing like nice finished images or whatever it is your goal, like for you to be more of a director of it than like the hand that draws it, I think that will be the big change, right?
Yeah.
And
Because
yeah,
ultimately, humans like creating for humans, right? We just like making tools to make life more efficient and easier, but not to take away creation. And I kind of wanted to touch on the mental aspect of it with AI is that everyone's freaking out about it in the art community, and rightfully so. It's doing really good stuff. But there's a few things with it that I think a lot of people are really, really neglecting. First of all, AI has been around for ages. They've been doing it since what, the beginning of Microsoft and the internet, of studying it, or even beforehand, of just trying to figure out AI itself. So, and companies, um, have, especially in the movie industry, have also been trying to do AI for ages, just to automate things. Even in Maya, like some companies have their own AI tools just to automate specific functions to make find easier for everyone else. So I think it's a little,
It's in every computer and program at some
yeah,
point. Even Photoshop has that.
yeah,
Some AI stuff to fill a background based
yeah,
on the surroundings and
powerful,
stuff.
yeah.
It's been
It's always
aiding
that.
businesses and technologies and other mechanisms for, like you said, for ages. But
Oh
now
yeah,
we're seeing this side that's like very flashy, you know, like, oh,
ah,
you type in some words and it makes an entire painting, right?
right, but
Because that's the
mm, but the the thing that's missing with it is like it's time versus quantity. Before, you had a lot of more time with very little quantity, and now it's flipped. You have a little bit of time with great quantity. So nobody knows what they want even more so today, right? Because they have so many choices.
Right.
And with creating the images and whatnot, with that little bit of time, that sliver of time, the quality of work that's being produced has decreased dramatically. Like if you look at any of these AI images, it can't do hands, it can't do facial features all that well. It still has a lot of things with light that's not even pretty good. It can only do like two forms of perspective, and that's it, of just front or side. Um, and it can only do like trees and maybe some plants really well, but not anything else that's organic, right? So, and then with it, it's using everyone else's work that's already been made for years. So, with people getting a little worried about it, I don't think people need to, because one, humans like making things for humans. It's always going to happen. It's always going to be there because, like earlier, it gives us a purpose. It gives us a need for survival. It gives us a need for life, finding who and what we are, what we want to be doing, where we want to go, how we want to live, blah, 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 right? So the way to go about it that I've been kind of seeing is like make work.
Yep.
That's dry and simple. Make stuff. You don't like what AI is doing? Okay, go make your own IP. Establish
'Cause
your
it
quality.
blocks
Yeah.
a lot of people, right?
Yeah,
Makes
Yeah.
you stop going for whatever you're going for just because someone else is apparently doing better than you
Yeah.
and faster.
I think people look
So
at the
I'm not even
technical
gonna
aspect
try.
of AI so much, not really about the story behind the image. So they're like, oh, it looks super good. Like I can't attain that level of quality, but I think
Mhm.
art is pretty subjective, as we all know. Like
It
not all of
is.
AI is good art and like
Mhm.
to everybody. So I mean,
you know, there is that documentary on, I think it's Disney Plus or whatever, talking about like when they started using digital for, I think, Star Wars, or
Yeah.
and all of the like guys that did props, like the miniatures and all of that, like went crazy because all of a sudden you had like a computer on the
Mhm.
studio. And I feel like the AI is the computer, and people are like freaking out. But there's also the guys that were like given the chance of, okay, do you want to like learn this, or what? Like, you can keep doing what you're doing, but we will eventually transfer to using this new tool, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like that AI will be that. It's this new tool, it's a new way of doing things, and it will be part of the workflow. But the core of like creation, the core of like having someone there to like make decisions, right? As an
Mhm.
example, if you create like if you want to take Blender, create a procedural material, right?
Mhm.
Like anyone can do that. It will be about like the knowledge that you have in your head to make the decisions to make that look cool, to make that look
Mhm.
right, to make like being intentional about it, right?
Mhm.
If you just type create random characters, you'll have like I feel like there will be a wave of crappy IPs, like that.
Oh yeah.
The same way that it happened on NFTs,
Mhm.
like there was a wave of crappy images just because you could attach the name NFT to it. But
Mhm.
what is like, we recognize quality as like
Mhm.
people, right? And quality is a sum of the technical aspects, the story, the style of it, if it speaks to you or not, and
Mhm.
all of that will still need to be decided by someone.
Right. But I don't personally feel that like AI will be able to achieve that though. Um, because looking at all the work from AI, it's all relatively the same, maybe slightly different change, but not that much. And I personally feel that like there is no need to be afraid of it because you establish your own standards, your own quality, your own stories, your own ideas, your own IP, your own color palette, your own values and whatnot with it, creating your work. So what exactly is there to be afraid of? Well, the only thing that to be afraid of is time, right? Because we live in a very business orientated financial world where time is money. And that amount of time that we're getting to create things is getting less and less and less. But I kind of feel like that's eventually going to flip because of, well, how society is reacting right now with the writers' strike, with artists, with people giving up on art, on every platform possible. Like when I was in middle school, I had a teacher ask me like, "What is art?" And I was like, "Oh, it's texture, it's paint, blah blah blah." And he's like, "No." He's like, "Every person in the world is an artist, no matter the subject, no matter the genre, no matter the type or what you think. Like you wake up, you're an artist because you are making decisions. You are making a choice. What am I going to wear? What color shirt? What kind of fabric? The size of it, the scale of it, the proportion, contrast, texture, blah, blah, blah. The choice is instant and numerous, right? So you ultimately get the deciding factor. AI doesn't exactly unless you tell it, but the spec quality is not even there, right?
Yeah,
So
but you still have
mhm.
to tell it though. That's the thing, right? Doesn't do
Oh,
anything on its own.
yeah, for
And
sure. Mhm.
yeah, there's no thinking process really.
There's
I
not.
think. I mean, I'm not aware mechanically and technologically and like how it works
Mhm.
exactly, technically
No, it
speaking.
look
But I don't
just
think it's anything remotely similar to the way you, a human artist, would
Mhm.
approach that task.
Mhm.
Design me
I
an
was
environment
watching.
with these features, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
You go a
Yeah,
very different way about it than an AI does, because the AI, I think, right? Because I'm not an expert on this, but I assume it just compares to a lot of other images and stuff, and it builds something
Does.
based on assumptions, maybe. So if you teach it that this is a rabbit, then when you say, "Paint me a rabbit with," it's gonna draw you like a fucking glass.
Right.
And so it depends on the way you feed into it somehow, right?
Oh
But
yeah.
it doesn't have this reason, this logic. And now it just makes me think of like how you're teaching a language to someone, who doesn't speak your language, and you can trick them. Rabbit. So they learn this is rabbit, right?
well,
Or
that's why
I
they
don't know.
call language models, right? Like AI
Mhm.
is just a way to like for us to
Mhm.
like spread the word, and it's like more flashy of a word, right? But they are called
Yeah,
language models because they are exactly that. They are like a dictionary with a bunch of things
yeah.
addressed to like
Mhm.
that image,
Yeah.
that word.
Going,
And
I guess going back to people quitting art, I'm seeing a lot of that, especially on social
Mhm.
media. Like people are
It's
not
less
taking as
competition.
many classes, they don't want to learn art anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone's
it's
like
sparking a lot
depressed
of
on
panic.
social media.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not as much interaction on posts I see. I think
Yeah.
like what is it called? Yeah, like content interaction is dropping on a lot of posts. I'm noticing. Like what's the point of, liking
But
this picture
I feel
anymore? Or
I feel like if you don't have to do it, right? Like if you're an artist and you will become successful one day, you have to do it. Like there is no
Yeah.
other option. You wouldn't like you don't have a plan B, but you either do it or you do it. And if you're
but
like that, you would not quit because of AI.
uh, but I feel a little indifferent about this because like looking at a global stance of what's happening with AI, it is affecting every industry. And that's where I was going back to like um, everything you do is a choice. Every industry is affected from this. So and it's affected so many people that the world governments are going, crap, what do we do? And if you look at what the EU just did, they announced saying like we will not allow it in businesses, which is kind of nice. And I think the US is going to shortly follow. Japan and China are doing their own things with it. I know China agreed to having it, allowing businesses to use AI under their own rules. And people there are going ballistic about it. But I feel like if there's ever a time to actually create something and make authentic work and make your own ideas, now would be the time. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Why let AI control what you want to make? It's just a tool. Make your own quality, make your own standards. And don't let AI be the influence of those things. Why give up on something because somebody else did it a different way, right? Like,
It-
mhm,
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we all talked about. You know, it's the mentality of not letting
yeah,
this thing overrule you, and like people are letting it overrule them
mhm.
instead of fighting back against, you know, or like
Oh
fighting
yeah,
for their own morals and values. Or,
mhm.
you know,
It's
And then
like
not
it's clouding
even,
your judgment, you
yeah,
know? Like, there's no
yeah,
point. What
this
am
yeah,
I gonna do?
nihilism of
and they're
a
not even observing it to see what's happening.
yeah.
They're just going on an instant dopamine reaction of, oh, nope, it's doing better than me. I'm out. It does faster work than me. I can't compete. Gone. And I personally, it always pisses me off when I see people quitting art because, like, to be on a side note, like, when I get hired from companies, I don't get hired because I'm the most creative artist out there. No, there are artists out there that make me look like a child's toy in terms of creativity. But what I get hired for that I know that I stand out in, of like my value that I can put in, is quality of that work in terms of the fineness of that art piece. And that's where I kind of go with like, okay, AI, if you look at everything, all the quality is the same, no matter what prompts you put in, no matter anything, right? But then with the human side of it, everyone has their own quality and part that they can contribute to that identifies them, that lets them be them stand out in their own way. And that's their ideas, their style, the quantity, the quality, whatever, right? And that's why I always go back to like, why give up those things because of AI? That doesn't make any sense for me. Just because of time, like, okay, it can do good images in a minute. Okay, great. But is it necessary? Is it really needed? No. Yeah,
The way
that's
I see it is like it could be
mhm,
a tool to aid your process,
a bit. Yeah.
you
Mhm,
know? Like, yeah, I can make 100 images, but they're bad images.
yeah.
However,
Mhm,
they might help you convey some idea. Maybe you're, the typical art block, like, I don't know what to do. Like, try
mhm,
something.
mhm.
If you're not capable of coming up with anything on your own, like with just brush strokes or blobs of paint or photo bashing some weird stuff that makes no sense, and then it's like looking at the clouds, like, yeah, it's a sword, it's a dragon, it's a right. Like, if
Yeah.
you can't do that, try this way. It's really limitless. Like, it's up to you. Like, get creative because it's what you are, right? So the way I see it is like it's probably gonna help you at some point during the process, but I don't see it taking over anytime soon, at least. So
But
the fact that people are so scared, especially newcomers, right? Like beginners and people who are willing to get started, it's like, oh, what's the point? Like, it's my dream to become an artist, and now this thing
but
is fucking it up. Like, what am I gonna do? So chill, okay?
don't you
Chill.
foresee that that is going to create more art block?
What is gonna create more art block?
All the AI images. It's going to create more art block because everyone's typing in the same things. Nobody
Probably it's
is,
more abundance, like we
yeah,
discussed earlier, right?
but
So
it's
Well,
many courses to choose from, so many tutorials, so many books on the same thing. Which one I go
it's
for? Like, you have so many t-shirts you could wear today that you can't even decide. So
but
when
it's
you
going
narrow
for
them down, of course,
but it's taking away innovation. It's not
yeah,
going
it's
okay.
discouraging it in a way.
Yeah, yeah. It's taking what's already existing, what's already there that we have already made. And like for art block, you want to get rid of art block? I don't know. Go get a coffee, change a routine, go do something, travel, whatever. Go do something, and eventually you're going to get ideas because of influence of something else. Where with AI, you don't have that influence. You don't have
Yeah.
that innovation.
It's almost the
The
same
way I
as
see it.
There-
Sorry.
oh, I was just saying, like, it's almost the same as people getting influence just purely on ArtStation, and they're feeding off each other's influences, and then it creates this vacuum of the
Mhm.
same ideas,
Recycled
So,
art styles and
yeah,
stuff.
they're just looking at
Exactly.
what's online, but they're not going out to live out their experiences. And they're like,
Mhm.
oh, I don't know what else to draw, or I don't know what else to paint, because, like, all I see are mechs and whatever, like half-naked ladies or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, broaden your horizons.
Yeah.
That'll
And
help.
Yeah, there is. I was in a event once, and this guy was giving a talk about like how to. He was studying like old artists and how they used to like sculptures and do things and all that. And a huge part of that process of that those like Renaissance artists being able to make such great pieces was the apprenticeship method, like where they spent like 10 years studying stuff. And what that gives it's depth to your art. And I feel like what AI does, it's like cool looking shallow art. And he was like he was explaining that like the way to get that depth, right? It's the amount of knowledge and experiences and how much like you can feel things as you are putting them into your artwork. And we as like human beings, we can recognize that when we see something. And it's like it's very easy when you watch a movie, you know if the like you can see if the movie was made just for money, like all of those like 10,000 sequences that you have all the time. Like I'm sorry, but the endless IP thing, like I'm getting kind of sick of that. The more time goes by, the more I want to like watch the one-off movies that are like small productions, but the idea is super cool. They talk about something like different,
Like Miyazaki or
and
something.
but yeah, like it's I think we will have like a wave of like extra shallow, cool looking, like flashy images that will
right.
not mean anything. And they will not like if your goal as an artist is to like actually impact the world or impact some people's lives, you will go for the like more deep stuff, like to really express yourself and not, again, as Dom mentioned, like rehashing what's already on our station and like, okay, I'm one extra mech with a girl inside. Like,
I thought we should try and go back to the older ways of, because you have it in kitchens where you have like the dishwasher, the line cook, the sous chef, the chef, and whatnot, right? So you have like the order of operation. And we had that with artists where you worked underneath somebody for ages. And like Emmanuel Shu talked about on his podcast, where he worked under a guy, I think it was at ILM for like 5 years or something, until he said, "Hey, you are good enough to do this on your own." And that's why in like today's world, we had resumes where you worked at one place for a long time, but now you work at a place for shorter times and you just jump around, right? So I always kind of figured like it'd be nice if in the art community, if we got back to the time of working as an apprentice under somebody to get the recognition. And then from there, that builds you up of like, yes, you have quality, you've got the standards, you can do it. But we don't have that anymore, unfortunately.
yeah, I feel like the pressure on producing quantity
Mhm.
kind of kills that a little bit.
It does.
Like I saw one comment. I think one of the people that I follow like shared the process of the CGI for Avatar, like the recent
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
And the comment that he made was like clearly the team had the time that they needed to create a quality
Mhm.
product because it looks like amazing, right? I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but
Mhm.
like visually it's stunning. And and then I was watching like this other video talking about the CGI on Marvel movies and how like I'm not here to like shit on like people that work for them because I'm pretty sure that the artists themselves are like pretty passionate about what they do. right? And
Well,
if they
they're talking
could,
about
they
it.
would spend like a lot of time doing it. But the fact that you need to produce this movie now because next week one like TV show will come out and it needs to like it's linked to that movie, and then the production schedule, like, it's so tight that people don't have time to actually like do something meaningful. And you can see how the both the quality and how it like impactful it is, like the pop culture, the Marvel movies like ended up getting, right? The quality went down and the movies like stopped being watched as much. They're not
Yeah.
talked about as much. A movie comes out and no one even like bets an eye anymore. It's like the Saturday movie that you put on after you watch the one that you really wanted to watch, just so you can sleep with something turned on the TV. And
It used
like,
to take, what was it, 3 to 5 years to make a movie. Now it takes between 6 months to a year to make a full movie. And you're right, the quality has dramatically decreased. And it's not because of the artists, it's just time and money.
Yep.
Got to get content out there, no matter what. And like Avatar is a great example of it. They took, what, 10 years to make the second movie, and it's mind blowing the amount of detail that they went into of every tiny little mechanical thing that exists in life to make it. And it's beautiful. Where like like Marvel and DC
It also
movies.
happens in games, right?
Mm,
So certain franchises that release the same game every year,
yeah.
but this time it's like a different skin.
wait, you are not excited for FIFA 2023? Come on, dude.
I mean, yeah, I
The
am,
next Call of
because
Duty.
it's the better one, right? It's
Yeah.
the current one, right? It's the one I have to own.
Yeah.
I don't want to be left behind with my old FIFA, right? Bro, it's always the same thing.
I just
Either
think like
that or movies or you see the patterns. I mean,
yeah,
you see it. So it's pretty clear.
yeah.
That's why you stick to you stick with those hidden gems that kind of
Mm,
strike you deep somehow. It
yeah.
pulls a certain heartstring somewhere, right?
Mm,
And it's the ones that have meaning to you, and it's the ones that eventually more people resonate with, because it's not a cash grabbing project. It's meant
mm,
to represent something, an
mm.
idea, the vision of the creator, I don't know, the director, whoever produced it. Maybe it's based on an old novel or something.
Directors aren't even
It's like the
directed
case
anymore,
of
though.
Dune, for instance.
Yeah.
Like I was blown away with that movie. Like I was absolutely mind blown. And I had no idea about what the story was before. I heard some people talk about the books, some people reading the books, like, yeah, I'm reading the third one this time. Man, this is amazing. Never caught my eye. I was like,
Mm,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah.
Another sci-fi stuff, maybe thing.
Yeah.
Movie comes out, boom. It's like it resonates with so many things I have going on in my life at this point,
Mm,
creatively, professionally, personally.
mm,
And it's like, bro, this is what I'm talking about. So now they're releasing a second one, right?
mm.
Which the ones who enjoyed the first one should be excited to look forward to. But then imagine they start releasing one every year. I don't know. It's probably not going to feel the same, which is,
The Fast
you
and
guys
Furious
watch
franchise.
these movies with John Wick? Have you seen
Wait,
them?
what? Why do you don't like the Fast and Furious? Come on, do you want to
I,
get a problem, man? I'm just
I
Fast
don't. I
10.
don't
asking.
want. I don't want.
The
Yeah.
greatest movies ever, man. Come on.
They just
Oh,
keep
I don't mean
going.
to offend anyone. Yeah, Fast and Furious are cool.
They just
No,
keep
bro.
going.
Like it's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
I have some friends who are very fanatics of like cars
Mm.
and engines and all that stuff. They always say like, bro, nothing like the first and the second movie,
Oh
from
yeah.
that friend. It's like it's where they kept it grounded,
Real.
I guess.
Yeah.
And they were getting into the nerdy things about it, the geeking about certain parts of the car, the mechanism, the way
Yeah.
they work and stuff. So same story, I guess, happens with everything else that gets diluted into
Dude,
massive
the-
epic story of
there's one where
unimaginable
like
dimensions.
Vin Diesel like, kind of like flies with the car towards like a tank, right? Like I lost my shit.
Right.
Like, dude, where have we gone? You know, like
It becomes a meme, you know.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
wonder.
exactly.
Everything's
I'm excited.
wacky.
Yeah, I'm excited
Yeah.
to see a meme now of like in this new one, it's got like a wrecking ball. I'm just expecting to see like Miley Cyrus on it. Like just I'm just waiting for somebody to make this one.
You know what
do
I
it with
found very
AI.
funny when I learned that like on the contract of the actors, like the real badass actors like Vin Diesel and The Rock and all that, and they cannot take a beating on any scene. No, so like the fights between those guys, there's no winner because they can't actually like be shown as taking a beating because the character is
Yeah.
like so badass and it's in the contract of the actor. So it's like how much that like that really
That's
matters.
what's it called? Narrative shield. No. Armor, some protective armor for the protagonist. I forgot the name right now, but there's a name they use in writing, right? Like, oh, it has plot armor. That's the name. Plot armor, right? He can't die. He's the protagonist, right?
They
And
are.
somehow you find it attractive when there's actually some stories that do make that. Yeah, bro. The
Yeah,
guy
like
died.
I want to see the
guy
villain win.
dies.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to see the villain win at times. Like let's have that or
Yeah.
something. Or let the hero
You
die.
know, the Batman movies, right? The Nolan
Yeah.
Batman movies. Like Batman took a beating, you know, like he was
Oh, yeah.
fucked up. It's like,
they
why do you
showed
Maybe
think we
that's why
rooted for him
we
afterwards?
we resonate with those characters, you know,
Yeah,
because you
we get
feel
that.
like yeah, they're not, I don't know, perfect gods, you know,
Mhm.
but at the same time you like those heroes because they also represent certain values that you're aspiring to, right?
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I want to be brave like this guy in this scene, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe that's surreal. Maybe in that situation, it's kind of like when they're teaching you some tricks to self-defense and stuff. It's like what Andrea said, like you're practicing the moves, but then when it's time to actually go into it, right?
Yeah.
You know, Andrea?
And it's like
Like
a whole different
Well,
arena.
it is different.
it's a
Yeah, it's
whole different other factors that you're not taking into account. Like you're just calm here, no stress, no danger, you're safe, right? But then real world happens and surprise, you didn't count on these things, right? You're outnumbered. It's raining. It's like all these conditions are changing now. So yeah, the same knowledge might apply, but you have to be adaptable. You have to adapt to whatever is happening, which smoothly ties into the AI thing again, because whether it happens or not, you have to be ready for whatever happens. Whether AI takes over and you were right, everybody was right, or it's not as bad as we thought it was, and we can carry on, right? So
Yeah.
many things can
Yeah.
happen. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. I mean, many people might say like, oh, you know exactly what's going to happen. You know, we're going to lose our jobs, and I see a lot of that panic and fear also. But
Dude, how many
it's not
industry
helping
ending
me.
events happened like in the past 20 years, you know?
We all
It's
survived.
not.
Oh, now it's computers. Oh, now it's photo bashing. Oh, now it's like 3D. Oh, come on, dude.
I always say, then it's going to be something else.
Yeah.
Like it always happened. Digital
Bro.
photographers, you know,
Yeah.
even us, bro. Like, no, I want to paint on paper. You know, like, bro, no, you have to use a computer, and I need this
So-
by lunch.
Yeah. There'll always
to
be
adapt.
something around the corner. And this
Yeah.
is where I go into like you do you. You make your own standards, you make your own quality, you make what you want to make. Don't let something else dictate your reality. The reality is already there, it's already happening. We can't go and change that. Unless you're the world's richest person and you've got assassins at your beck and call, then sure. But until then, sucks to suck, right? So
Yeah.
like you just have to you just got to, I think with AI, go create, be prolific about it, make what
But
you
it
want.
Exactly. It is what it is. Like that's why I'm laughing, because it is what it is, right? If there's a way to stop it,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
But if there's not, then what are we gonna do? Just sit in a corner and cry about it?
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
done. What's done is done. So
Right. Yeah.
what I
And
go for, like, one thing I stand by, and I'm gonna let you finish in a second. It's just that, you know, how can it take away all the passion and the skills that I've built over years of practicing my craft? Like, I'll always be able to do that,
yeah.
which is the thing that fulfills me,
Mhm.
right? I get it. The other side of it is like getting to participate in all these big projects and big companies and work at certain things that give you a certain label, which you can show as proof of your credibility and all that stuff. But it's not what really fulfills you, I think, at
Right.
least in my case. What fulfills me is to have some idea and make it happen. You know, create a dream and work on it until it becomes reality.
Exactly.
It's how you see all these original IPs that are really like heartwarming, you know, and they strike deep
And you
down into your core, and you feel relatable, and it resonates with you. Those are the ones you look up to, not the cash grabbing kind of franchises.
can
We
see
all
the
know
ones who
that.
cut corners easily. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
It's becoming more and more evident as who's cutting corners and who's not.
yeah,
And
who's authentic, who's not. Yeah.
yeah, you can even see in the art community of people like that, and you can see other artists who are getting royally pissed off. Even like Drake, he had somebody use AI to create a song with his voice, and that went freaking viral. And it's just the best way to fight against it is you do you, make what you want, make art.
Yeah. We will have to wrap it up soon, but I wanted to
I do think
finish.
that's actually a good message though, to like kind
Yeah,
of push into as we, and like
Art.
do you, right?
exactly.
Like it's the same old advice that we would give. Like
Yeah.
it seems like it's I don't know, it's something that will bulletproof you towards anything, right? Like,
Yeah, you define it for
there's
you. You do you.
yeah.
I wanted to say it's like that that 300 movie with that scene where they're being told that our arrows will cover the sun or something like that, you know, and no more light and stuff. And then he says, well, then we'll fight in the shade.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's kind of summing up this whole idea about like AI is taking over. You know, well, so be it. Let's see what happens. You know,
Yeah.
I'll still be here, and
Yeah.
I'll fight against it, you know, and I'll protect
Yeah.
myself and my people as much as possible.
Yeah.
So
And if it takes over, well, humanity can go fight against it. We'll just, I don't know, do an EMT or just unplug it.
we'll find a way.
We'll
I
find
think
a way.
people need to step outside in the real world more.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
That's a good
Away
point.
from the computers,
Yeah,
away from all
don't-
this AI crap.
Don't build your thoughts based on what you see online, mainstream media, or anything like that. Not even us. I want you to think for yourself. I want you to go out, like Dom says, out in the real world, you know, touch some grass, look at the sky, you know, and
Seriously.
realize the potential within you and that you always had the key. So, man, it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you so much for coming again here.
Yeah, appreciate
I
it.
definitely enjoyed the conversations. I hope our people watching in the audience have as well.
I hope it
And
puts people at ease about AI. I really do.
definitely, yeah, it's what we try to encourage. You know, like
Mhm.
you don't know what's going to happen, so you can only choose your attitude and the way you react to things that happen. So,
You don't know what you don't know.
what's it gonna be?
Mhm. Exactly.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I hope to see you
Thank you.
next time. And until then, stay strong, carry on, and do your best. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
You